All right, let's do it together.
Listen to part of a talk in an art history class.
So today we're going to continue our discussion of 20th century photography in the United States. Last time we were talking about Alfred Stieglitz, and we saw that one of...
Why? Continue. Why are you broken?
What aspect of Georgia O'Keeffe's work do... Listen to part of it.
Oh, okay.
We're going to continue our discussion of 20th century photography in the United States. Last time we were talking about Alfred Stieglitz, and we saw that one of his goals was to introduce Americans to European art. Today, we're going to look at another photographer from the early 20th century. Yes, Jennifer?
Before we get to that, I had a question about Stieglitz.
Sure.
Well, Stieglitz was married to Georgia O'Keeffe, right?
That's right. Stieglitz was married to her, promoted her work, and actually took some amazing portraits of her when they were married. For anyone who's not familiar with this, we're talking about the American painter Georgia O'Keeffe.
Okay, well, I was wondering, Georgia O'Keeffe, you know, I've heard her name so many times, and I've seen some of her work, but she's not mentioned in any of our reading about photographers from that time.
Oh, well, O'Keeffe was really more of a painter.
I thought she was a photographer, too. I mean, I just saw one of her photographs in a museum the other day. I think it was called Red Leaves on White, or something like that.
Oh, right. Yes, Large Dark Red Leaves on White is the complete title. It's a fairly well-known painting by O'Keeffe.
Oh, okay. Well, what was I thinking? I guess I should have had a closer look.
No, that's a really good observation. I mean, chronologically, that would be impossible. When she did that painting, color film hadn't even been invented yet. Neither had the right technology to blow pictures up that big, to show that much detail. But that painting and some of her other paintings do reveal the influence of photography. Like, she would crop her images. She would make a frame around part of an image, say just the very center, and then cut off certain parts, the parts outside that frame, to create the effect she wanted, the way a photographer does. And those paintings are close-ups, like you might see today of a person or a flower in a photograph. Now, those techniques were certainly around and being used by photographers then, but just in photographs, which were smaller, not as big as what O'Keeffe was painting. Also, O'Keeffe studied under an artist named Arthur Wesley Dow. That's Dow, D-O-W. Who advocated focusing on simple, basic forms, like the lines of a flower and its petals. And he wanted forms to be isolated from their original settings. He believed that by doing that, an artist could reveal an object's its essence. He'd do things like have his students take a simple, ordinary form, like a leaf, and explore various ways of fitting all of it into a square, maybe bending it around to make the whole thing fit into the frame. Peter?
It sounds like maybe O'Keeffe borrowed most of her ideas. The stuff we might think of as being hers, she just got them from other people. She didn't really have a style of her own.
Well, virtually all artists are influenced by other artists, by their predecessors, by their contemporaries, their teachers. Artists build on what other artists have done, but if they're talented, they take it in some unique direction to develop their own distinctive style. O'Keeffe liked to create abstract interpretations of real objects. In the painting Jennifer mentioned, Large Dark Red Leaves on White, in addition to exaggerating the size of the leaf, O'Keeffe juxtaposes it against a silver or whitish background. So that's more of an abstract setting for it, and so on. Now, O'Keeffe wasn't the first artist to create an abstract interpretation of a real object. but she used that approach to express her experience of the object she was painting. So she presented a vision that people hadn't seen before. It's unique. It's compelling. She didn't expect other people to experience the object the way she did. She knew they'd look at her painting and hang their own associations on it, which is true for artwork in general, I think. That's just the way the human brain works, but at least they'd be taking a careful look at something they'd never really paid much attention to.
That is so hot. Alright, so now, what aspect of Georgia O'Keeffe's work do the speakers mainly discuss? The kinds of objects that she selected? The influence of her painting style and photography? Maybe. The major abstract elements of her photographs? She was a painter, not a photographer. And the techniques that contributed to her distinctive style. Alright, I'm going to say either B or D. So, look here. Georgia O'Keeffe's. She cropped her images, framed them, cut off the outside. So that's her distinctive style. But the influence of her painting on photography. So she took the idea from other photographers, so I'm gonna choose D. And it's D. Ding, 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 ding. Awesome. Next one. It's so slow. According to the professor, what characteristics of large, dark red leaves on white indicate that it could not be a photograph?
According to the professor, what characteristics of large dark red leaves on white indicate that it could not be a photograph?
It depicts leaves in a setting that appears to be abstract. Well, she does abstract stuff. It is larger than most photographs at the time. Ooh, for sure. Because it doesn't, they can't be blown up right here. Incapable of blowing up pictures at that time. The technology was not there. Realistic, they didn't mention the realism of it, or nor the colors. So the answer is B. B and D. So, alright, we got 2 of 3. B and D. 1, B, D. 2, B and D. See, it didn't tell us how many we need to choose. So I'm assuming with this website, according to the professor, we have to pick 2. Because this is the second test I've done where they told us 2 at once. So number 3. La, 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 la. According to the professor, what principles did Arthur Wesley Dow emphasize in his art class? Arthur Wesley Dow wanted simple basic forms isolated from their original setting and the essence of the object. Simple forms. Okay, so that's 1. We need 2. Separating. So A and C. Ka-ching. Fantastic. Try your notes. Write your notes as quickly as possible. We're 2.5 to 3. That's pretty good. In his discussion of O'Keeffe's style, why does the professor describe large dark red leaves on white? Large dark red leaves on white right here. Okay. Color film wasn't a thing there. So to point out between O'Keeffe's works and the work of other artists, nah. We're represented in a natural setting, maybe. To give an example of paintings copied from, I'm gonna go with B. It is B! Nice. 2 more. Almost there. According to the professor, what effect did O'Keeffe expect her paintings to have on viewers? Ooh. That, she thought. I did not listen to that. The paintings would create the same personal associations. Then we gotta pick 2. Uh-oh. What effect did O'Keeffe expect her paintings to have on viewers? Nope. Maybe C. The paintings will make people see ordinary things in a new way. Okay, I'm gonna go with B. Because at the very end, they explained that her style would make you look at something that in the natural world that normally you wouldn't do. And the paintings, I'm gonna go A and B. Just B. That's what I said originally. That's the only one. So, alright, B. Good. So, this website could be one or the other. Last question. Question number 6. Listen to a part of a lecture again, then answer the question. Why does the professor say this?
Why does the professor say this?
No, that's a really good observation.
Ooh.
Listen again to part of the lecture. The question.
I just saw one of her photographs in a museum the other day. I think it was called Red Leaves on White, or something like that.
Oh, right. Yes, Large Dark Red Leaves on White is the complete title. It's a fairly well-known painting by O'Keeffe.
Oh, okay. Well, what was I thinking? I guess I should have had a closer look.
No, that's a really good observation.
To emphasize the students should have observed the painting more closely? Nah, that's not going to be it. To indicate the student's conclusion about was not foolish? Maybe. That's a good observation, but it's not a crazy one. To indicate that he had not understood the student's point at the painting. No. Ooh. So it's going to go with C or A. Series of elimination, process of elimination. To emphasize the student should have, no, that's just ridiculous. A. That was my second choice. So really, I would have gotten 4 out of 6 if I put 2 for question 3. So this is the kind of notes that would be good for you to write down when you're doing this, and then we can focus on that next time. Try to listen to it and write down as much as possible. What are all the words? Even if you spell the words incorrectly, it's fine. What you need to do is practice the listening and comprehending what you're reading, what you're listening to, and note it down as quickly as possible. We'll see you next time. Bye-bye.